Okay, good evening. Welcome to to the first special committee on racial equity meeting of this fiscal year. It's Thursday, September 11th, and we are convening our first screen meeting to lay out a number of objectives for the year ahead, meet new members. We understand that some board members may not be able to make it tonight. But then there's some other pressing issues that we'd like to discuss. So we're getting started, and we do not have a quorum as of yet, so we'll put the minutes on hold. But I'm Margaret Della. I'm the chair of SCREE, and I've been the chair for the last 2 or 3 years in advancing some of the work that we've been doing on SCREE and how we've been able to support standing committees in their work to advance equity within the district. So that being said, welcome to new board member and new SCREE member. Althea, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
My name is Althea Ebo, and like you said, I'm a brand new member. I'm looking forward to working with everyone on this team and every other team that I'm in. So
Great. So first things first, welcome to our community. Welcome to those of us who will be reviewing this recording after the meeting. There's a number of things to be addressed. One of which, so just context for Althea as well as everyone else who's joining us either in the immediate future or sometime in the future. But SCREE was created in 2020, and over the course of the last several years, we focused on a number of issues or how we can support standing committees advance equity within the district. So we really started off with the budget and how the board was making budget priorities and making sure that there was a focus on equitable distribution of resources in the community and making sure that areas that perhaps had been neglected over periods of time or those that have the biggest need or the greatest amount of foot traffic or whatever the situation warrants, that they are getting the appropriate resources and that we're putting the full effort of the community behind it. So just to reference that there's an interim report that's created annually. It started in 2020. We did some research on everything from demographics to where equity sits within the New York City Charter, to mapping out what equity could look like within the environment and sanitation committees, to all the other components that go into our work. And so every year since, we use the interim report to reflect on not only what the state of the union is, sometimes quite literally, but also a chance to reflect on the year, the activities that various community members and committees have taken on. So this year we completed it again in June, submitted it to the full board. It's on the website. I usually do reference it here, but I can just pull it up really quickly. But we do have the most recent version on the website, and it is also a compilation of all the previous interim reports and all of the resources that go behind it. So just as a reference, I'm just going to share this with everyone who's here. I think I've lost my share. Oh, right, so the big green one.
somebody entered the waiting room.
I'm sorry, what?
I saw 2 people in the waiting room.
Oh, you did? Thank
Yeah.
you.
I just saw that. Oops.
Oops. This mouse cooperate.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Hey, welcome, community members. We will, so now that we have a couple of participants on the line, just to give people a reference, every committee is different in how they run their meetings. So the way that I run my meetings is that typically we hear from committee members first. We've already done some brief introductions. And certainly we open it up to the wider community to get your feedback and things that you'd like the committee to focus on, or questions or areas where you may be looking for resources. So I'll just put a pin in that for now, but that's how this meeting operates. So right now, we're just reflecting on the interim SCREE report from June of last year. So just to help people navigate, this is our community board website. This is the Bronx, obviously, because there is also a Manhattan community board 8, but ours is obviously in the Bronx. So committees, if you go to this tab, Special Committee on Racial Equity. Here you will find the overview on SCREE. This is our purpose statement, our committee members, and these are the documents I was referencing. So the annual report, which has a compilation of all the last 5-6 years actually that we've done the report. It's here. The initial resolution creating the committee is here for your reference. This is an old one. And then this is the capital request map. So just to open it up, because it is a labor of love, but this is, you can go all the way from fiscal year 16 to fiscal year 26 and highlight all of these post-its, and it will tell you what was the request, which committee it came from, which year, and what did they hope that the city would fund. So obviously this is a lot of post-its. You'll see that there are many, for instance, like NYCHA, these are long-term requests, and they're also perhaps projects that are already in motion. But the position of the community board is that we keep the requests on our annual list until the project is completed, because we want the community to continue to understand how much of a priority it is for the community board. We also, if you go to the budget committee, you'll see the documentation from the last several years, the budget priorities, not only for capital projects, but also for expenses. And there you can see the full list of requests from all of the committees, their priorities, and that list also helps us advocate for various funding opportunities with elected officials, with the city, et cetera, et cetera. This committee list of activities, this is each committee provides us with their information on what they've done over the course of the last several years. So wherever they talk about equity, and that could be, advocating for older adults who may be more susceptible to fraud, to making sure that there is a racial equity lens in budget requests, as we've discussed, to a million other things. So this is for each committee and the areas that they've focused on. I think SCREE is really proud that each committee has taken on equity within their respective missions, and that they choose to tackle various issues and report on them in order to make our community better and better. So that's that. We also created a combating hate resource guide. This is translated into a few languages with the option to translate into additional ones. English, this is just the most straightforward one for me. It's translated into Spanish, just some of these headlines, and Chinese simplified. But really it gets into various resources. First of all, the State of the Union again, based on hate crimes and what we know about what's going on in our community, as well as the overall United States, and what drives us to create this resource guide. So giving people a primer on hate, the definition of a hate crime, what how does New York City define it? What are the resources, more importantly? So if you were a victim of a hate crime, if you witness it, if you're not really sure what it is, but you feel like you want to know more information about it, all of these links will take you to either city, state, sometimes federal, or nonprofit resources. So if you are a victim or have witnessed a hate crime, these are a number of resources that you can go to. Different people in different communities may feel more comfortable in going to one resource versus another. But these are a number of resources that you can go to for help, where you can find contacts to lawyers, et cetera, et cetera. And so while this primer on hate crimes or being, surviving a hate crime really focuses on the immediate situation that you may have encountered. We also want to get into overall crises and where hate may come from in its various forms. So again, focusing on all the ways in which our community members may experience hate. That could be through discrimination, bias. It could be, quite honestly, hate in schools, like bullying. It could be internalizing hate for oneself, that may impact someone's mental health. It may result in suicidal ideation, and on and on and on. All of the things that many community members suffer through. So just to give you a sense of what's what, these are the resources you can find on the SCREE, under the committee here, under SCREE. You'll see all of the resources here. And again, the budget, just to reference, this is sort of like the where the SCREE work really tried to dig deep. The information here will give you all of the information on community funding priorities. So the budget process, yes. I believe I'm getting to the bottom of it. Public hearing, there is actually a public hearing coming up, just to remind people, on October 30th before the overall board meeting. So if you want to start talking about budget priorities, that's a great meeting to attend and to see what the priorities have been and what committees are talking about for the year ahead. So again, capital budget requests, these are all prioritized. Bailey Playground is one of our big equity investments in the community. This playground, if you will, is basically a paved over parking lot. And children really just don't have a sense of like what a playground could be and all of the wonderful things that a playground can be in relationships and physical activity and just quality of life. So these are all prioritized by chairs of various committees. They're discussed, they're voted on and advanced by respective committees. So there's input from each committee that bubbles up to the chairs that provide the priorities of each committee. And then those priorities are ranked and agreed upon by by chairs in the executive committee. I don't know why Julie can't join. She's still in the waiting room. Anyway, so that's the overview of where to get all the information. Everybody's new, so so it's all new to us. Let me go back and let me stop sharing. So that being said, that is the overview on SCREE, our resources, and where we've been. So next I wanted to discuss electing a vice chair. Althea. It's a good way to get to know the committee structure. As your second meeting, something to consider. I'll also talk about it with Adiana and Daniel once they're here. But if you feel so inclined, I do need a vice chair. The other thing is, as I mentioned, I've been the chair of SCREE for the last 2 or 3 years, what is time? But I also want to be sure that new committee members are carrying the baton and leading the conversation how they see fit, and bringing us along with them. So there is something along the lines of, okay, sorry, Julie, I tried to let you in. It says you're still in the waiting room. Okay, you're on now. Great. Um, so welcome, Julie. Julie is the chair of Community Board 8. We're thrilled to have you. And Constant Barnes Watson is the chair of the Economic Development Committee. So we're thrilled to have both of you, as well as community members Jason and Jonah Lee. I guess I think I'll probably reverse the order a little bit, because Constance is here as well as Julie, and especially since we have community members here. So just a recap, for community members, we'd love to hear from you. I can unmute you as we open up the conversation. If you do have something you'd like to contribute, we just ask that you show your face on camera. Raise your hand first and foremost, so I know to call on you. Just show your face. You already have your names, which is beautiful. And I'll unmute you, and we'd love to hear whatever you have to share. So one of the priorities that we'd like to discuss is the Broadway corridor collaboration. Over the course of the last several months, it's nothing new. These are not new problems, but it appears as though Broadway, especially between 238th and 225th, really is in dire straits. I think the Broadway corridor has always struggled with who cares for it. There are, bids that overlap, and there is certainly city services like sanitation. Obviously, the MTA and DOT have their own respective priorities. We also have the 50th precinct, which is just off of Broadway. We have transitioning housing, we have grocery stores, we have small businesses. We have sort of everything that there is to offer within our community board. And yet we are in sort of an acute period in which we have enormous transportation renovations, but those renovations have expanded into, taking over the entire stretch of Broadway for probably the better part of a mile. And I would say sanitation is not doing their part to make sure that those protective barriers look appropriate. And I think businesses are struggling, at least at, just seeing 231st, which looks, for a better word, insane, where there's really no sanitation. It's the busiest hub in our entire district. There's probably 400,000 people that go in and out of 231st Street, just that metro stop, the subway stop alone, on a day-to-day basis. So it's an enormous lift. There's abandoned cars, we have sanitation issues, we have birds that are being fed, and there's some kind of like craziness to keep them off of the MTA line. But there's just a lot of nonsense going on, and I think people have always, it's a big effort, and it's something that is directly related to everyone's quality of life. It's directly related to the health, the safety, and the equity within our district. So that being said, Constance, I just wanted, or please, Althea, as a committee member, if you do have anything that you'd like to share or add, I'd love to hear from you, as well as community members, sort of in that order.
So I was just thinking, and like I had mentioned when you sent out the message, Margaret, that I think as far as the Economic Development Committee, it is something that we should be involved in. Again, like you mentioned, we have so much in that area, even after the fires and all that, lots of restaurants that it's dark. It's dark and it's kind of dingy down there. And we don't want, especially with Rite Aid being gone, you don't want just things to get into disrepair. And we know with neglect comes abuse. And so if we can help out to help in that area, and again, like, we have had the concerns from Knowles Crescent, if there is something that we can do to get talk to the folks in the bid to see what it is we can do to bring more business, but of course, cleaning up before you try to get somebody to come in there. But I think it's what you're doing, what you brought up is really important.
Well, and thank you for your idea to collaborate on a walkthrough. Julie mentioned that as well. I think that's an incredible opportunity to bring perhaps a couple of committees together so that people can walk through and see for themselves just how complicated it is for people to cross the street at a bare minimum to, the businesses at 231st, many of whom are long-standing, so everyone knows them, they know how to get into them, they're our trusted favorites. But to think about any new businesses that want to come into the area, and even just supporting those long-standing businesses that have done so much in the community, it just feels like they deserve a voice, and I'm just kind of surprised I don't hear more people talking about it, because it is so hard at 231st especially. And so that got me thinking, like, are people just exasperated with 311? Do they know to come to the community board? And sort of like, then I sort of snowball the whole thing. And I'm like, people don't know how or who's gonna actually listen to them when they ask for help. Or say like this is unacceptable, or say like, our businesses are struggling, or I know they know where to come, but just people with their strollers and trying to get around, or heaven forbid, if you need a wheelchair to get across the street, it's nearly impossible to do so, especially at this time. Um, so I think we just need some TLC, and I think we need a bunch of smart people to come together and put their efforts behind it. So Jason, Joni Lee, Julie, if there's anything else that you all wanted to add, or give us some strategies on perhaps how we could attract or attack it, that that's kind of what we're looking for. I think a walkthrough is a phenomenal idea. I love that. It feels very tangible and brings people together. And everyone gets that sort of tacit feeling of what it's like. And then where do we go from there?
So I just had one question. I know we're talking about from 238 to 225th. So the people who are in that little mall section, are they divorced from this? Because there are a number of very large sort of corporations who have come into the neighborhood. And I'm just wondering, what can they contribute? Because they want their businesses to thrive. I mean, Best Buy, what is it, Shake Shack just opened, Starbucks is down there. And I would have thought that them being there means they want the place to look better.
Yeah.
So do they have any views on this, or do they just say, well, we're in this little complex here and that has nothing to do with us?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. A great way to build some alliances, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I will say that kudos to the land use chair. We were really concerned about the property where Riverdale Diner has been. It's technically still there, but permanently closed. And that space was filled with abandoned cars, totaled cars, just like a total junkyard. Graffiti over the building, graffiti along the walls and everything like that. And I will say that he brought it up to Raising Cane, which is a business that seeks to create a new building on top of that property. And I mean, we've witnessed how bad that property has been since it's probably been exceptionally bad the last year and a half. But Raising Cane cleaned it up within probably 36 hours. If anyone wants to walk by, I haven't seen it in the last like 24, but if anyone wants to walk by, the the parking lot is pristine. All of the tagging and dirt and graffiti and everything all over the building, and the wall behind it is all gone. So I think that bodes well in terms of like businesses that want to work with us and they want it to be a welcoming community where people don't have to live among trash. So I think that's a great idea, and that we could think about how to partner with some of these larger restaurants, corporations to help us accomplish our goals.
Sounds good.
Margaret,
Right.
Julie here,
Yeah.
sorry, it's from my face. But what I was thinking is that we definitely need to work on reaching the community to get their involvement in this. Um, so maybe draft some type of flyers or leaflets or something, so that in the coming months, we'll give them information on who to contact if they see something, if they want to get involved. Because I know
Yeah.
when the TNT had their meeting and they wanted the community input, the flyers were put about the area, and
Mhm.
we had quite a, I think it was a healthy showing considering nobody ever used to come from the community. So I think our outreach needs to improve significantly.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Constance, do you know if there's sort of like a running list of businesses that are in the district or along that corridor that perhaps we could find a way to reach out to them?
Yes, two parts to that. I know that Farah has a mailing list of, I think, most of the businesses that have expressed interest in knowing about community board events. And then the other night, Nick mentioned there is a list. And so I asked Farah if she could contact the folks at DCP to get that list for us.
Awesome.
And you could try
Oh.
Catherine also at the bid office.
Yeah.
And she may be also able to, since she has a running list of all the businesses there, maybe offer up a huge meeting place where everybody on Broadway can meet up when we have a public meeting.
Mm. Okay, great. Okay. That sounds like a great first start. Okay, so, so economic development is in, um, I'm not, I think public safety is, we will also be addressing that at our next meeting. The chair mentioned that we would be talking about the corridor. Environment and sanitation also mentioned that they'd be, raising this issue at their upcoming meeting. Anyone, I mean, I'm on the traffic and transportation committee as well. Althea, did you say you were on that one too, or no?
Public safety.
Oh, public safety, so we can talk about that on the 16th. TNT, I'm not sure if they're putting it on the agenda or not. Any other committees that you think we should be working with? And certainly land use has already addressed it with this first shot out of the gate with Raising Cane.
I think it affects every committee.
Yeah.
You know, every committee should have some mention in their meeting at one point. So that when we have the larger meeting, hopefully with more of the community and invite the various agencies, every
Mhm.
committee should be involved.
Okay.
And
Okay, great.
and then maybe if you guys want to meet up with the bid, in that area, like before we have the big meeting, even initially, just to see what type of information they have, if they have any contacts, if they're working with anyone to straighten up the issues, because they must have gotten responses from the people in the area, the businesses in the area.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know in the past, Sergio had worked with, I believe, KRVTC when they were trying to establish that a business association over from the train over by Target down to Broadway. So maybe
Mhm.
maybe if they have old notes from before. That was a while ago, but still maybe they have contacts still.
Do you mean like near Marble Hill?
Yes,
Okay,
because it's bad over there too. So
yeah. And just because I think you mentioned this to me, but in terms of working with the council member, uh, is that Councilmember Farias? Maybe, but just to, how should we involve?
it's one of our council members. I think because I think
Okay,
Dinowitz gave up his section because he only had like 2 buildings or something like that. So it's either Sanchez or De La Rosa. I honestly don't
okay,
know one, but it's one of them.
it's not Sanchez,
Then
but
it's
maybe it's La Rosa, okay,
Mm.
okay. So I can also reach out to that office and see if there's any other entities that, apart from the bid or in addition to the bid, that want to could be helpful.
Mhm. And Farah can mention it again
Okay,
at her district house, but she can mention it in her October meeting since all the agencies are there.
oh, okay,
But they will
that's a
probably
great idea.
want specifics too, like
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking I could create like a corridor map with like like transportation issues, safety issues, uh sanitation issues,
that would be.
and it, just using like one of these maps, it's hard to see, pointing, no one can see it, but
No,
the
I know the
district map,
maps. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, know them well. Using the district map and highlighting it with specific uh like issues and having some photos to document it.
it sounds good.
Okay.
Also had a question. I don't know if you all have heard or seen. So you know where and I will never get this auto shop right because I want to call it Mighty Key, and that's not what it is. Is it Mavis? Across from
Oh,
Carvel? That's Mavis,
yeah,
right?
Mavis.
Okay, so the dead end, like
Yeah.
at one point there was a lot of homeless folks just kind of clustered
Yeah.
down there between the end of the road and then the train, well, train tracks over there. Yeah, like down going towards the Deegan. I don't
Yeah.
know if they're still down there, but that's also a interesting part of the community, and that street is it could use some help too.
Yeah. The there's also a gentleman who comes to meetings like every quarter and talks about like abandoned, materials and things like that all along that street and just abandoned
Mhm.
cars.
Yep.
Um, and that it's supposed to be an area for parking, like overnight parking for community members, but you can never park because it's just filled with abandoned
Mhm.
cars.
Yep.
Um, and I feel like his complaints, because it's just kind of like, where do you put that? But I
Mhm.
think it's something that we could loop in here.
And public
Oh,
safety is having their meeting next week. That's something that they should address, especially since it's
yeah,
right down the block from them.
yeah. So, just a quick question while I have both of you here. NYPD has understandably said in terms of cars that are parked after they've been totaled from accidents or maybe they're under investigation, but most of them, it seems like from what they've said, what NYPD has said, is that they're just kind of waiting in line for these cars to be towed because there's so many other cars to be towed in New York City that there's limited tow trucks or limited resources to pay for those tow trucks to come and just remove cars from the property. So it's like they're maybe once a quarter they get cleaned out, but then they're immediately filled again. So I don't know if there's another way that we can bring greater resources to NYPD for this, or perhaps I don't even know what this falls under, if it's under sanitation or if it's really just under NYPD to focus on, like, I mean, I go to other precincts, I don't see the precincts surrounded by abandoned and destroyed cars. You know, airbags hanging out and like
Yeah,
crushed windows, and you know, for anyone who's ever been in a horrific accident, like to
yeah.
walk past that every day is something. So, I don't know, are there any other resources you think we could go to address that? Or to try to help NYPD, because they wanna do it, they continuously, you know, request, towing, but they're kind of hamstrung, at least the officers at the 5-0.
I guess that's something that we'd have to speak with the captain about.
Okay,
And what do you call it? Next month, Sebastian will be going to the budget meetings and he'll be meeting with the police because they used to be one of the agencies that would go to the budget. Maybe give him some of the questions as well, and he could address it at the budget meetings. Even though it's not on our last year's, he could still bring it up and get feedback from them. 'Cause
okay,
he'll have all the bosses there who should be able to
yeah,
answer.
okay, cool. Okay, anything else on this topic? And Nathan, if you'd like to speak, just raise your hand, we'd be glad to unmute you. And if there's anyone else who wants to speak, if you could just raise your hand, show your face, and then, you know, speak. Okay, so that conversation that's it for now. There's three other things to be discussed. Work plan for the year ahead. I just wanted to open this up as an opportunity to talk about things that you think SCREE should address in the year ahead, projects, events, opportunities, crises, so that we can think about how we could put a game plan together, and go from there. But are there things that you'd like an entity like SCREE to focus on? Please share any feedback or thoughts that you have. It can be evolving conversation. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be tonight.
I
Okay.
think, Margaret, a
Yeah.
few years back, you had showed us how you use, I'm not too tech savvy, but I think it's a great tool where you had the map of the district and you can click onto the map to see which areas received funding for whatever requests they had. And you can actually see how some areas, and I'm thinking of Bailey Park, really, how some areas they're funded quicker while other areas in the district wait forever for any type of funding. I think if your committee took a look at that map again, just to get an idea to see if we've moved the needle at all in the positive
Mhm.
side. I doubt it, but it would be nice to see visually if it's moved
Mhm.
at all. And that would also help people think of where should we be looking at for services.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah,
you
I was wondering what,
definitely be there in person, because I really want to get a grip on that.
Yeah. Althea, what were you gonna say?
I was just wondering what was the work plan for last year to see what sort of things were being done, what sort of projects.
Last year, well, one of our projects was, so in addition to the budget work, we had each committee, discuss hate, or we asked each committee to talk about hate and how it's relevant, to the work that they covered. We also, we're attempting to get some community convenings together to talk about, resources. We had an effort with health and hospitals. We just couldn't necessarily convene people. It became too difficult to be able to do. So we really just, focused on the resource guide, the budget, and asking people to take on hate within their respective committees and then reporting back on those issues. I'll have to look back into the report that we just did like 2 months ago. I feel like I'm missing something else, but that was it. The one other thing we talked about was one of the efforts to bring people together, to build community bonds, to perhaps bring people together over food. That was something that we discussed as potentially a way of getting community board members to be more connected. And I think Julie has taken that and run with it, you know, just seeing the new member orientation at the Ale House last week or 2 weeks ago. There was also Julie and Farah, the district manager, also had a really nice end of year meeting in June where people came before the meeting started, had broke some bread together, and you know, just spent some time getting to know each other as individuals before the meeting started. I would add that to the districts, to the community board's list of accomplishments under SCREE. I think that's an important thing. Julie, do you want, and the mentorship component as well, trying to help new members be more aware of all of the moving dynamics of the community board, bringing them up so that they can be successful in their roles on the community board, and help create a leadership transition plan for chairs and other senior members of the community board.
And
Anything else that you would add to that, Julie? Yeah.
no, I was just going to say the mentoring program part, that's something that a board member, Emily, had wanted to do. She does something similar with her work, and from her experience on the board, she felt that it would be beneficial, and I totally agree with her. And I know our vice chair had also wanted to do something in that area too. So I think the mentoring program, if people participate, I think it would be a good thing, you know, because especially catching up and with the term limits, the turnover, it's not going to be like huge. It will be huge, but it helps the process. It helps people have open dialogue and get to know each other a little bit quicker and assist you, you know, with the stumbling blocks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the fact that we're doing more events to reach out to the public. That was one of the things, like when I became chair, I wanted to reach out to more of the district because I felt it was one lopsided. And the office has been great in working together so that we can be out there at various events throughout the year in all parts of the community, which is good. They've been doing good with that.
Great, thanks for that. Anything else that people wanna ask or contribute, or suggestions, recommendations on what we could be addressing in the year ahead, just to give you a sense of what's been done and how different efforts have come to fruition?
I was thinking about, I think the community board did something on this already, because I think I went to a meeting to do with immigration and resources, but I have I'm thinking you've done that. I think there was a meeting at the Y or something. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
February.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's on video so that the
Right, so that's already done.
public
Okay.
can always take a look at it. And we try to hand
Yeah.
out the pamphlets at the meetings so that
Yeah.
the neighbors can share it. Because someone had brought out a good point. Well, we don't want the people who may be apprehended to come, but let the community share the information.
Mhm. Great. Okay. Well, excuse me, meeting dates. So we do meet once a quarter. Well, not once a quarter, but, 4 times a year, but it's not once a quarter. So, so our next meeting will, depending on the availability that we have, will be in November. So it's usually November, January, and then, March or April. So depending on how our dates work out in the calendar, because we are a special committee, there's some of the other committees have more rigor, in terms of public approvals or various applications that come before their agenda. So sometimes we do get moved around. But for the most part, we try to stick to like the first Thursday of those months. But certainly those dates can be moved around based on new committee member schedules as well. So, that's all I have on old business or discussion well, Althea, I'm just gonna say that there's no more old business to discuss unless someone has something. New business, I think we've offered that up, but please let me know if you feel as though there's something we haven't discussed. And certainly I appreciate all of you being here tonight, and you can always contact the office, share whatever feedback you have or ideas that you have, questions, areas where you need resources, and that the office can pass that along to us as a committee or can help you address whatever needs you might have. With that being said, are there any other things for us to discuss tonight? Otherwise, we may adjourn ourselves.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome, Althea. Thank you so much for being here. And then we'll look to see you in November.
Thank you, Margaret. And hi, Althea. I'll show my face next time.
Have a good night.
Take care. Bye, Constance.
Bye-bye.